Chief Justice Durant, President Adams, Speaker Schultz, former Governors Huntsman, Leavitt, and my friend and mentor, Governor Herbert. Distinguished guests, my fellow Utahns, it is an honor to be with you today to give a brief accounting of my last 4 years as your governor and to share with you a message about my remaining 4 years of public service to the people of Utah. Now, before I do that, I'd like to spend a moment saying a few words by way of introduction to Utah's statewide elected officials, chosen by you, the people, during the 2024 election. Each one of them has joined us with their families and have been inaugurated today. I'll begin with our new Attorney General, Derek Brown. Derek and I both served together in the Utah House of Representatives exactly 12 years ago this year. In addition, Derek worked for 3 of Utah's United States senators as legal counsel to Senator Bennett and Senator Hatch, and as deputy chief of staff and state director to Senator Lee. You'll learn more about each constitutional officer's professional background today and in the months to come. But before today's ceremony, I reached out to each one of their spouses, asking for a photo from their childhood and an item or two about them personally that Utahns might be surprised to know. The best part is they don't know this and they can't see the photos. So, in that process, I learned that at age 12, Derek competed in a piano competition against 18-year-olds where he literally won a grand piano. Derek has traveled to Zambia, Ghana, Haiti, Morocco, Tunisia, Ukraine, Russia, Latvia, Slovakia, and other countries with his wife, Emily, and their children for humanitarian service and music performance tours. Please welcome our new Attorney General, Derek Brown, and his wife, Emily. Our new state auditor, Tina Cannon, is the first Republican woman running independently on the ballot elected to a statewide office in Utah. Now, the first time I met Tina was in 2018 when I was asked to present her with the Utah Mother of the Year Award. Her spouse added that if political rivals attempt to go for her jugular, they'll be disappointed, as Tina's right jugular vein was removed as part of a medical procedure many years ago. And while you wouldn't know it looking at the new 10-foot-tall statue in the halls of Congress, Auditor Cannon is the exact same height as Martha Hughes Cannon. Please welcome our new state auditor, Tina Cannon, and her husband, David. State Treasurer Marlo Oaks, re-elected to a 4-year term in office, is one of the only state treasurers in the country with an extensive institutional investment background, which makes him uniquely qualified to manage Utah's $36 billion of investments. As a fun fact, Treasurer Oaks is a 12th-generation descendant of Thomas Wells, the first state treasurer of Connecticut, whose service began, this is real, in 1639, and who continues to inspire Treasurer Oaks today. It has been an honor to serve with Treasurer Oaks over these last 4 years. Marlo, your dad would be proud. Please welcome our state treasurer, Marlo Oaks, and his wife, Elaine. Now, our final constitutional officer inaugurated here today is one I know very well, my partner in governance and Utah's Lieutenant Governor, Deidre Henderson. She has led our state to new heights, and when she succeeds, I am the one who usually gets the credit, even when it rightfully belongs to her. It is an honor to serve by her side. Her husband, Gabe, shared a few personal notes about Deidre. He said that they met at BYU as college students and only dated for 2 months before they were engaged, which might sound fast, but according to Gabe, it felt like they were really dragging their feet. Gabe said that Deidre has always been willing to work tough jobs in her life, including jobs as a certified nursing assistant, a cashier and dishwasher at Arby's, and as an associate at an obscure company called Blockbuster Video, which for anyone not born in the 1900s like us, just ask your parents. Please welcome our State Lieutenant Governor, Deidre Henderson, and her husband, Gabe. Now, 4 years ago, we set out to write the next chapter of Utah's history, believing that our greatest days still lie ahead. From the very beginning, we were determined to build on the success of Utah's forefathers. We were committed to preserving what really makes Utah special, and I'm proud to say that we have achieved so many of those things that we set out to do. Together, we approved the largest teacher pay raise in Utah history. A starting teacher in Utah now makes a salary that is top 10 in the nation, something that many said would be impossible. And thanks to the leadership of the legislators who have joined us here today, we passed the largest tax cut in Utah history. We've taken the fight to social media companies to protect our children and empower our parents. And we secured another Winter Olympics in 2034. The list goes on and on and on. We have done the hard things, never shying away from the heavy lifts. Time and again, Utah has punched above its weight over these last 4 years. During that time, Utah has been ranked as the best state to start a new business and the best state for the middle class. We were named the most independent state and the #1 state for innovation, economic outlook, government efficiency, and upward mobility. For the second year in a row, the U.S. News & World Report ranked all 50 states across 71 metrics and more than 1,000 data points and found definitively, with little fanfare or surprise, that Utah again is the #1 state overall in the nation. The last 4 years have been a whirlwind, and I am proud of our team and the people who have supported our efforts. Now, I've been asked many times how Utah, this medium-sized, square-ish, mostly rural state with some weird people, dominates so many rankings. And I would love to stand here and tell you that it's the incredible work and accomplishment of the Cox-Henderson administration and our legislature, that our initiatives and accomplishments over the past 4 years have made all the difference. But that wouldn't be true. You see, none of the things that we accomplish is what makes Utah great. Let me state it again. Those #1 rankings have absolutely nothing to do with what we have accomplished as your state leaders in these last 4 years. So, if none of that matters, what does? Well, before I tell you the real secret to all of our other successes, I need to share a personal story and introduce you to a few people. Now, many of you know that when I was 10 years old, my parents divorced. To say this was a difficult time for me is an understatement. I felt angry and scared and lost, and more than anything, just profoundly sad. There were many times when I thought the world would be a better place without me. Now, fortunately, I have amazing parents and siblings and extended family members who are here today who loved me and cared for me. I love them, and I'm profoundly grateful for them. But there are some other people from my small town that you need to know about. I hope I can get through this part. These people rallied around me and affected me in ways that even my family members could not do during those troubled teenage years. For reasons that still remain unclear to me today, they sacrificed and fought for me even when I didn't deserve it. And I mostly didn't deserve it. First, Blake and Terry Madsen. The Madsens were my family's next-door neighbors in Fairview. They were also the parents of our best friends. I spent as much time in their house as I did my own. Their fridge was always open, and so were their hearts. They treated me as one of their own. In fact, most of the childhood pictures I have today come from Terry's always present camera. Corey and Lois Anderson were technically my step-aunt and uncle, but they were so much more than that. When my parents were ready to be done with me, Corey and Lois would take me on the mountain with their family to herd sheep in the summers. At age 15, they somehow trusted me and my cousin enough to leave us in charge for a week at a time. No phones, no adults, just horses, dogs, and 2,000 sheep 40 miles from civilization. Corey didn't just preach work and responsibility, he gave it to me. As a teenager, Lois taught me faith and hope as we knelt by her hospital bed on Christmas Eve, pleading that God would save her from the cancer in her body. It was the first Christmas that I didn't care about presents. I only wanted God to answer my desperate prayer, and he did. And Corey, we offer that same prayer for you today. Now, Dr. Roy Ellison was the English and music teacher at Northampton High School. Mr. Ellison, as we called him, is a brilliant man who had no business whatsoever teaching at a small rural school, but he did it anyway. At a time when I worried that being good at school might hurt my social status, Mr. Ellison saw something in me. He challenged me and he inspired me. He taught me how to write and to love music, poetry, and classical literature. I owe my success in high school and college directly to him. Now, John and Colleen Perry were my first church teachers after the divorce. John also became my scout leader and somehow ended up stuck with me in every church assignment after that. We went on countless camping trips together and shared a love of 60s music. I thought we were just hanging out and having fun, but all along he was teaching me how to be a good friend and a humble leader. I didn't realize at the time the tremendous sacrifice he made to serve me and so many others. He did more than anyone outside my family to save me. Now, finally, George and Peggy Bench. The Benches were the family that helped us through some of the messiest times of my parents' divorce. They didn't take sides, they just loved and served us. This is a photo of me at that same time of life. George and Peggy were always the emergency phone call when we needed something. They raised some of the best kids on this planet who were incredible examples for us. Peggy, we miss George terribly, and his hands, larger than life and always steady. I'd like to ask all of these people from my past to stand. Blake, Terry, Corey, Lois, Roy, John, Colleen, and Peggy, who are here with us today. Please join me in thanking them. Now, please forgive this gratuitous walk down memory lane, but you see, these are my people, and this is Fairview, my hometown. Utah is not number one because of our government. We're number one because of our people. When I was lost and struggling as a teenager and ready to give up, it wasn't the government that stepped in to save me. It was John Perry, my scout leader. When my dad was floundering and not sure if he could make it another day, it wasn't government that answered the call for help. It was George Bench. I can't begin to describe how lucky I was to have these people and this town in my life. But the more I visited Utah's other 254 towns and cities, I discovered something remarkable. Well, my childhood was special. It wasn't unique. Everyone in attendance today can name a Corey Anderson, a Roy Ellison, and a Terry Madsen. Not one of these couples has wealth or status. They all live in what would be considered small or modest homes. And if we only measure financial capital, Utah may fall short by many measuring sticks. But you see, where we truly shine, and this is the secret to our success, is something a little more obscure called social capital. Experts describe social capital as the connections among individuals and the norms of reciprocity and trustworthiness that arises from them. Several studies have shown that Utah leads the nation in social capital, and there really isn't a close second. Social capital is measured in categories like family unity and interaction, social support, and institutional effectiveness. It includes rates of service and volunteering, philanthropy, and something called civic virtue. Most importantly, social capital is not created by government. It is created in our families, our congregations, our neighborhoods, in our volunteer organizations. You see, here's the point. The incredible things that we have been able to accomplish over the past 4 years happened because of our strong social capital. And if we want to continue to cut taxes, create jobs, build infrastructure, lift people out of poverty, and make the American dream a reality for the next generation, we need more of it. And it can only happen one family, one neighborhood, and one community at a time. In a world where too many people celebrate and adore shallow influencers who they will never meet, the influence of these 5 Fairview couples never extended beyond the borders of our little town. But oh, did their influence run deep. They never asked, what can my community do for me? They only asked, what can I do for my community? They didn't just pursue happiness. They literally found it. Faith, family, and community. Faith, family, and community. Utah has it, and the rest of the world is desperately yearning to find it again. We must not give up now when it's needed more than ever. With marriage rates down worldwide, births at an all-time low, deaths of despair at an all-time high, and a sense of community vanishing across much of the Western world, Utah must stand tall as that shining city on a hill. We must be different. There is no government program we can create or law we can pass that will solve these problems. Now, some may try, and they will inevitably fail in that process. C.S. Lewis once described it as running back and forth with fire extinguishers at a time of flood. There is only one true solution, and it begins within the walls of our own homes and then extends to our neighbors. We as Utahns must rise to the challenge to be the next Lois Anderson or Blake Madsen. Service, faith, freedom, and opportunity nurtured and built here in Utah. Now, in conclusion, I'd ask that you grant me one final personal privilege as your governor. The famous Utahn J. Golden Kimball once said, always dangerous, you should always marry a woman from Sanpete County because no matter what hard times you experience together, she's always seen worse. I have to say, when I was first elected as your governor and met with President Dallin Oaks, who is here today, uncle of our state treasurer, Marlo Oaks, he recited that exact same quote to me and Abby, and he was right. My fellow Utahns, I introduce you to First Lady Abby Cox, my high school prom date and the love of my life. That hair and that dress. As an aside, if you don't know anything about prom at North Sanpete High School, you need to look it up because it's a thing and it's amazing. Life is full of curveballs and rarely goes as planned, but I can't begin to describe the power of knowing that no matter what happens in life, good or bad, I've got a partner and best friend who is right there beside me, hand in hand. Abby, I love you. And I consider myself the luckiest man alive to be able to spend the rest of my life and beyond by your side. And together, completely committed to each other every step of the way, we set out on a grand adventure of parenthood. Having kids has been the greatest blessing of our lives. We did it when the rest of the world would say we shouldn't. Incredibly young and hopelessly naive, still in school, not sure what the future held. Gavin, Caleb, Adam, and Emma Kate, we love you. There is no greater calling in our lives than that of being your mom and dad. So if you want to understand Utah's success, it really is this simple. Moms and dads, husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, friends and neighbors, there never has been nor will there ever be another replacement. To my fellow Utahns, these last 4 years as your governor have been the honor of a lifetime. I love this state. I love her people. Abby and I pledge to you our hands and our hearts, all that we are and all that we could ever hope to be. And I have every assurance that we will succeed because I know that we are not alone. Now is the time to build. And now is the time to never forget what truly matters most. May God bless all of us in this effort, and may God continue to bless the great state of Utah. Thank you.